it sometimes feels like it pushes them into a very narrow vein where they feel like they're going to have to be perfect.
Hit the subscribe button and click the bell notification to become part of the Transplant Helper community.
Immediately after transplant, feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, feeling like this life is impossible, feeling like everything is divided in your life between a thou shalt and a thou shalt not, that is pretty much a normal emotion. I see over and over again, especially in the pre-transplant world and the post-transplant world, at least in the first few months, a group of people who get extremely overwhelmed or frustrated by what lies ahead. And basically that's because they're reading these Facebook posts and they're watching my videos even. I'm guilty of the same. And they're hearing about all the things they should do versus all the things they should not do. And when they hear those things, especially just kind of screaming out, one in one ear and one in the other, yakking back and forth, it sometimes feels like it pushes them into a very narrow vein where they feel like they're going to have to be perfect. You know, concerning your diet, concerning exercise, concerning your medications, and I think those are the big three of survival, we feel like sometimes there's just nothing we can do that's right. Take, for example, your diet. Maybe your transplant team, and I don't know exactly your team or how they would go about it, but for the most part, your transplant team post-transplant may ask you to make a few tweaks or changes in your diet. And sometimes that can be overwhelming. I, for one, was a guy pre-transplant that pizza, chili dogs, and cheeseburgers were the mainstays of my life. One of my favorite homemade meals that we would have at home was basically fried potatoes, fried ham, and fried okra. I'm Southern, okay? But nonetheless, that is not exactly, not quite, the way I ought to be eating every single day. You know, I had to make some adjustments. I had to make some changes. I had to incrementally make changes toward eating a healthier, cleaner diet with more fruits and vegetables, less things that are fried, less grease, less fats, less salt, less sugar. And hearing all of that bombarding me at the right time, or at the wrong time probably, was not what I wanted to hear. And I began to feel like it was probably impossible for me to live that way. But you know, it's not been that way. I have found that doing things incrementally, taking our time, taking those baby steps in the right direction are probably the better ways to handle that. The same applies itself to exercise. Pre-transplant, I was an extremely active guy, but I never took time to intentionally, go out for a walk or go out for a jog. And I still don't really jog, but, intentionally go out and exercise. I never really focused on myself. I was kind of, I guess, lucky or whatever, just 6 foot, 175 pounds, weight was under control, never was a problem. And so I never saw the real need for exercising pre-transplant. But post-transplant, things are a little different. Post-transplant, you have to do something, whatever that is, to try to keep yourself healthy, okay? That's the best route. But again, the better way of doing that is probably to do it incrementally over time, taking those baby steps, almost literally, and building up to something. Setting yourself a goal that is reachable, that's not out of reach, but yet just within reach, and building up to that goal every day. And then being good with yourself about taking that bar, that goal, and raising it just a little bit higher, that can make a huge difference in your life. I mentioned medication just a moment ago. Now, this is one of those areas where I honestly believe it's best for us, absolutely best for us, that we get it right on the first try. That we go ahead, like I like to encourage, and we take our medication on time, every time, and in the right way. Because medications are one of those areas where there's not really a gray area in between the black and the white. That's just the facts being known that we must take those medications. Now, that's not to say there won't be changes. That's not to say there won't be adjustments, but those adjustments and changes will come not from you and your mind, but from your doctors. However, one thing I want to point out in that is very simply that those changes are made based on blood work, based upon, your abilities, your performance, based upon all these things that they're doing, but they're also based upon how you feel and what your needs are. So if you're finding yourself concerning your medications, overwhelmed by all these medications, understand that they may not exactly have that right yet. It may be that there needs to be some medicines that are raised a little bit, or more so usually lowered a little bit, so that you can feel your best. So don't be afraid. Don't be overwhelmed to go in and again, take those intentional baby steps and sit down with your doctor and make sure that they understand, how you're reacting to these things. Make sure they understand any symptoms or side effects that seem unget-overable or impossible for you, so that they can help you to make the best decisions in life. So I guess what I'm basically saying in this video is, yeah, we want to all reach a standard where we live clean, healthy lives. We have great diets, set exercise programs. We intentionally, we're healthy. We want to make sure we take our medications right. But at the end of the day, understand that's not a thing that has to happen in many cases absolutely immediately, okay? There can be a building period. There can be a gradual move forward toward getting better. That's what this life is all about. I hope this video has helped you out in some way. If you're pre-transplant especially, I would love to hear from you, because I know how things can be. I know things can be overwhelming, but please don't give up. Don't get frustrated with the whole system and think it's something you can't do, because honestly, it's something none of us do perfectly, but all of us learn to do to the best of our abilities. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, each of you, please stay stronger, friends.